Hello everyone, welcome to Trainify.tv. My name is Peter, I'm a Pilates teacher and I'm going to be taking you through a Pilates session but with a little bit more focus on mobilization. So getting some movement around your joints, your hips and your ankles primarily, and then getting your spine moving through lots of different directions as well. So with the other classes available online with Trainify.tv, think of the Pilates mobility class here as more of a complement to supplement that other good work, so that you feel by the end of the session that you've got a lot more space, you feel like the muscles, the connective tissue and the structure itself is just nicely loosened up for you to either get on with the rest of your day, feeling open, just to maybe assist with getting a good night's sleep, or to complement any other workout that you might be doing, or just any other activities you may be doing throughout your day as well. So this done at any time will be really effective and really beneficial for that, for sure. The session today, give or take, will be about 25 minutes long. And as far as the exercise itself goes, we're going to be using just the mat and making sure that you've got a little bit of space, and also just a block. So for one of the exercises, we'll use a block for some head support. If you don't have a block, you can use a towel, or even you can just use your arm, but something like this will be great. So, to start the session off, I just want you to stand with your feet at about hip width distance apart. Bring your hands onto your rib cage, so your middle fingers are just gently touching against each other. Your shoulders are relaxing down away from your ears, and your elbows are gently drawing down toward the floor. So we're going to focus on a little bit of breath work to begin. So as you take a deep breath in, notice that your fingers gently move away from each other. Breathe out. Your ribs draw down in toward the body. Continue like that. Deep breath in. Breathing to the back and the sides of the ribs as they expand. Breathe out. Exhale that out through your mouth. Now, as you're doing the movement, I want to just bring your attention to the crown of your head and then the tip of your tailbone. And this time, as you breathe in, notice that you can draw the crown of the head maybe a little bit higher, and then give a little bit more sense of heaviness of the pelvis drawing down, so that we introduce a little bit more sense of length. Exhale, and the ribs draw down and in. Good, so just lower your arms down by the side of your body. And we're going to take it into the Pilates exercise called standing roll down. So I will just turn to the side so I can give you a little bit more of a look at where you want to be with regards to your body. So feet, continue to have them about hip width distance apart. Your tailbone is gently tucked and it's pointing down toward the floor. So that sense of heaviness that I got you to focus on before, and also just feeling like the crown of the head is drawing up toward the ceiling. So we're finding that sense of length. So allow your arms just to gently relax on either side of the body, and introduce a little bit of softness through your knees as well, so you're not feeling like you're having to be completely locked and completely straight. Now from here, again, take a deep breath in, filling the back and the sides of the ribs. And as you breathe out, I want you to feel like you're turning your ribs round over the abdomen, and then that starts to bring your shoulders and your head with you. So you're creating that kind of delayed curving through the body. When you lose that exhale breath, breathe in again. Breathe out. Continue to roll down.
Your hands, if they can drop toward the floor, fantastic, great. If not, don't feel like you have to force it. Maintain that little bit of softness at your knees. Take a deep breath in again. Tailbone drawing down, and as you breathe out, start to tuck the tailbone between your legs, and then that will start to restack through the lower part of the spine, then the mid part of the spine, then the upper part of the spine, and then your shoulders start to come up to where they started from, and then very last your head starts to sit just directly above the rest. So we'll do one more just like this. So maintain that softness, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, your ribs start to turn over the abdomen like they've got a couple of wheels on them. Your shoulders and your arms start to dangle forward. Your head starts to gently drop down toward the floor. And as your arms draw down, again, go down as low as you feel you're able to. Don't feel like you have to force it. And just stay here for a few seconds, just hang out. If you feel that it would be nice, introduce a little bit of sideways movement with your head, like you're saying no, and then maybe just lifting your head up and down, like you're saying yes. Hold your head heavy and still, dropping the crown of the head toward the floor as the tailbone draws down toward the floor. Also, take a deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, your tailbone tucks between the legs, your lower back starts to restack and rebuild. And then from here, your mid back, and then your upper back starts to come up. And then your shoulders draw down, and then finally your head returns. Good. And you can give your shoulders a little bit of a roll from there. So just from this position, I'm going to get you to come down and sit onto your mat now. So we're going to take that into what's called a spine stretch exercise. And you'll see that it's really similar to the kind of shape that we were making with the standing roll down also. So your arms reach out in front of you, fingers and thumbs nicely spread apart, your shoulders relaxing down away from your ears. And just from this position, again, find that sense that the crown of the head is drawing up and the tailbone is drawing down, so that you're resting nicely on your sit bones. Take a deep breath into the back and the sides of your ribs. And then again, like we were doing with the roll down, as you breathe out, your ribs start to curve forward over your abdomen, and your head and your arms reach forward. This time I want you just to turn the palms to face towards the floor, and then pulling the shoulders, pulling the arms forward. Go as far as you feel you can. Take a deep breath in once you're there, and then breathe out. Your tailbone starts to tuck and point toward the mat. Your lower, your mid, and your upper back come up. Relax the shoulders, take a deep breath in. And again, we'll do one more from here. Exhale, ribs turn forward as your head starts to go forward, but it stays nicely in line with the rest of the spine. Your palms gently rotate to face the floor. Arms reaching forward, take a deep breath in. Exhale, your tailbone tucks between the legs. Your lower spine comes up, your mid spine, your upper spine, your shoulders return, and then your head comes up last. Good. So again, roll the shoulders just a couple of times from here. So we're getting into all that tightness that tends to be held through the upper body and the thoracic spine, where the rib cage attaches to the shoulders. And now your arms are just going to reach wide out to the side. So we're going to take it into seated rotation. So from this position, if you feel that it's uncomfortable around your hips, I'll invite you to bring a little bit more of a bend into your knees if needed. So whatever feels best for you. So your shoulders relax down away from your ears, so we're not over recruiting into these kind of accessory muscles of your neck and the upper back. And as your shoulders relax,
breathe in, feel like your middle fingers are drawing away from the midline of your body. So we lengthen the arms out as much as you're able. Now, as you exhale, you're going to rotate left. The distance between the arms stays the same. Look that direction. Breathe in. Bring yourself back to the center. Look directly in front. Exhale. Rotate right. Inhale, come back through the center. Continue with that movement. And notice probably as you rotate left that the right leg will move forward slightly. And as you rotate right, the left leg will move forward slightly. So that's exactly what we want to happen. So our upper body and our lower body tends to work in a reciprocal pattern when we walk and when we run. So the movement of the shoulders in one direction tends to trigger a little bit of movement into the opposite hip. Good. One more each direction. Last one here. And then come back through the center. Good. So again, roll through the shoulders. If you've got your block, we're going to start off using that just now. And I want you to bring it to one side where the right side of your head is going to land and rest down onto the block itself. So we're going to go into what's called book opening. So as your head rests onto the block, your knees will be slightly in front of your body, and just in a, not an exact rule, but your shoulders, your hips and your ankles are pretty much stacked one on top of each other. Now, bring your left arm forward, just with the fingers resting on top of each other. The left shoulder again stays relaxed, and your fingers and thumbs, as I say, are touching, and your heels are touching as well. So to start the movement, again, take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you breathe out, start sliding the fingers of your left hand along the inside of the right hand. That will start bringing the left shoulder to roll back slightly, and then your head starts to roll back slightly as well. Allow that to continue as you lift your left arm up and it just falls over the body. If it goes all the way to the floor, fantastic. If not, don't feel like you have to force it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Return the arm back in the same arc pattern that we started. Land the fingers somewhere along the inside of the right palm, and then slide the fingers along to meet the bottom hand again, and also the thumb. Breathe in. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time, as the fingers and shoulders start to roll back of the left hand, allow your left hip just to roll back as well. So as we breathe out, the fingers draw in, the hand slides along the inside of the right, the left shoulder drops back, the left hip drops back. Keep pressing the right thigh into the floor so that you stay steady, but that should give you a lot more opening across the shoulders and chest. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale. The arm reaches up and over, the hand lands on top of the inside of the right one, and then slide the fingers along the top. Let's do one more. Deep breath in, exhale, slide the fingers of that left hand in, the shoulder, the left hip drop back, keep pressing the right thigh and the right hand into the mat, and hold it. Now, like we were doing with the seated rotation, the exercise previous, I want you to feel like you're trying to reach the middle fingers of each hand away from each other, breathing as and when we need to. And as you breathe in, always want to try and breathe into the belly and fill it up like a big balloon. And then exhale, the arm draws up and over, and then rest the hand on top of the other one. Good. So we'll go into the other side. So just so you can still see my demonstration, I'll move the block to the other side of the mat. And now the left side of my head is going to come down onto that block itself. Now, arms reach out in front, and just quickly go through that checklist the way we set it up for the last exercise. The shoulders, the hips, the ankles are stacked one on top, your knees are slightly in front, fingers and thumbs touching against one another. Breathe in. As we breathe out, slide the fingers of the right hand along the inside of the left palm, the right shoulder draws back, and then the right arm arcs over the body. The back of your hand finds the floor if you're able. Don't feel like you have to force it. Breathe in, and then breathe out. The arm arcs back the way that it was brought over. The hand lands somewhere, or the fingers land somewhere along the inside of the hand. Slide the fingers along to meet as the thumb does as well. Breathe in, and then this time, as you slide the fingers back, allow that right hip to drop back as well. The left thigh stays heavy, pressing into the mat, as does the left palm. Your hand touches down, breathe in, and then breathe out. The arm goes up and over. Slow and controlled, the hand lands, the fingers land along the inside of the hand. Fingers slide forward, breathe in. Last one here. Breathe out. Right shoulder, the right hip draws back. Left thigh, the left arm and hand stay pressing into the mat. Look more toward the right hand, and again, feel like the middle fingers on each hand are reaching away from each other. So we create a little bit more sense of expansion and openness across the chest and shoulders. Take a few deep breaths from here. And then exhale, that arm reaches up and over your head once more. The palm, the fingers land along the palm, and then your fingers reach forward. Great. So, get rid of your block. You can place it just out to the side, so we're not going to need that again. And now we're going to go into what's called a mermaid exercise with Pilates. So I'm going to get you to sit facing towards your screen, and you're going to have your right leg in front at like a right angle bend, and then your left leg is out to the side at a little bit of a right angle bend as well. Now from this position, in an ideal world, you're going to be resting pretty even through both sit bones. I'm definitely not, just from this position. So what I know works as a good strategy, bring your left foot so it presses down into the mat, and that should bring the left hip into the mat. It does for me, but as I say, if it doesn't fix it, as it were, for yourself completely, don't worry about it. We just want to get it a little bit better. Now once you're in that position, you're going to reach your arms out to the sides. Start off with your palms facing toward the floor, and then you're going to flick your left palm up to face toward the ceiling. Hold this position. Take a deep breath in. That opposition in length through the arms, and then as you breathe out, your right hand starts to come down to find the mat. Your right elbow starts to bend, and then your left arm arcs up and over your head. And then as you breathe in, you're going to uncurl and bring yourself back to where we started. We'll do about 2 or 3 more. Exhale breath. Your hand finds the mat, the elbow slightly bends, the left arm arcs up and over. Breathe in, push the floor away, come back up. Good. Exhale. The right hand draws down, the left arm arcs up and over. Now hold this position. Make sure that you're nicely pressing into the heel of the right hand, but the right elbow is significantly bent. The left arm is reaching away. The left hip, feel like you're drawing that into the mat. So you get this lovely stretch, this lateral bend through the top side of your spine. Now breathe in again. And then as you breathe out, I want you to rotate with that left arm, trying to bring the hand to rest on the mat beside the right one.
Allow your head just to drop between your arms. Take a few deep breaths from this position. And then push the floor away. Bring yourself back up to where we started. Excellent. So that should feel really nice and open along that left side of your hip and waist. Let's get ourselves evened out through the body. So your right leg goes out to the side, your left leg comes in front, and then again, just find that position where, as you bring the right foot pressing into the mat, your hip will come down onto the mat, the sit bone rather, into the mat a little bit better. If this at any point doesn't feel good for your knees from this position, just bring your legs out in front of you. So just always do what feels best for yourself. Also, notice that there is going to be a difference, which is completely normal, with one side of the body than the other. And as I say, everyone is asymmetrical in that way. So as I say, it's completely normal. Your arms reach wide, left palm facing toward the floor, your right palm faces up toward the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, the left hand now comes to find the mat. Allow the elbow to bend when it does, as the right arm arcs up and over. Breathe in, push the floor away, return back to where we started. Exhale. Palm comes down, bend the elbow, the arm goes over, push the floor away, breathe in. Let's do one more. Elbow starts to bend, the left arm arcs up and over. Sending that right hip bone into the mat, but don't feel like you have to force it. Breathe into that top side of the waist, reaching the top arm away. And then as we breathe out, rotating through the shoulder, see if your right hand can come and rest down beside the left. Allow your head just to drop down between your arms. Take a few deep breaths from here. And then push the floor away. Bring yourself all the way up from there. Fantastic. Good. So from that, you're going to come up into a quadruped position. So you're resting on your hands and your knees. And with this one, I'll go through a good bit of the strategy so that we can find ourselves in the best position with this one. So have your fingers and thumbs nicely spread apart and your palms just pressing down into the mat. And you want to have your palms and your hands themselves at about shoulder width distance. Now, in relation to your knees, bring them forward slightly more than likely, so that your knees are directly underneath your hip joint. So use the vertical line of your thigh bone as a guide for that. So start off with the hips directly above the knee joint. Now your knees will be slightly slimmer in relation to where your hands are, because your hip joint at its widest point isn't as wide as your shoulder joint. So this is where we want to be. Now, when you're in this position, and if you have the tendency to hold a lot of pressure through your wrist, or maybe you've had injuries and the like in that area, I'll get you to, and this applies to everyone, just to bring your hips behind your knees ever so slightly. So you want to feel like about 60 to 70% of your body weight is through your hip joint, and maybe about 30 to 40% maximum is through your shoulder and wrist joint, because the hip joint itself is much stronger, so we want it to pick up most of the work. Now, from this position, look to the floor and think back to one of the first cues I give you. So the crown of your head and the tip of the tailbone are reaching away from each other, so we create that sense of lengthening through the body. Now, as you breathe in, the back of the neck stays lengthened. Feel like you're breathing again into the back and the sides of your ribs. Hold that there. We're going to take it into a cat-cow. So now as you breathe out, push down through your palms and allow your upper back start to arcing toward the ceiling. Your tailbone starts to tuck between your legs. Your head gently drops down between your arms. Pause. Breathe in. And now as you breathe out, your tailbone starts to turn and point toward the ceiling. Your lower back gently starts to drop down. Your mid back gently starts to drop down. And then you shine your chest forward and just look slightly in front. Good. Breathe in. Breathe out. Push through the palms. Start to curve and arc the upper back. And then your head starts to drop between your arms. Your mid and your lower back start to curve, and your tailbone tucks between the legs. Once you're at that highest point, that angry cat, stretching out through the spine and the back of the shoulders, breathe in. And we'll take it into the cow. Breathe out as your tailbone starts to turn and point toward the ceiling, and that triggers your lower back to start to curve and drop down, and then your mid back, and then your chest and your head gently shine forward and just hang out there, but still with the majority of the weight through your hip joint and not through the shoulders and wrists. And then from here, bring your big toes to touch, allow your knees to open out a little bit wider, and then sit yourself down into a little bit like a child's pose shell stretch. So your arms reach forward and allow your head just to drop down onto the floor, and keep your hands pushing away and keep your tailbone tucking between the legs from this position. Take a few deep breaths from here. And relax. Good. So I'm going to get you to come up from this position, and you can face towards the screen if you'd like, but I'm going to stay side on again just as a way to demonstrate the movement. So we're going to take it into a hip flexor stretch, which is going to be really nice for everyone. So your left foot goes forward, and keep it so that to begin with, your left knee is above your left ankle, and your right hip is above your right knee. Now from here, bring one hand onto the pelvis along the front, bring one hand onto the pelvis along the back, with your upper body nice and upright, your shoulders relaxed. Again, that sense of the back of the neck nicely lengthened. So I want you to create more of a tuck of the tailbone between the legs, which will cause the hip bones along the front to gently lift. And that will really bring a lot of stretch into these hip flexor muscles into the top of the right thigh. If that feels like it's a sufficient stretch for you, that's all I want you to do just today. If you want to move into the stretch a little bit more, start bending at your left knee and then the left ankle as your upper body leans forward slightly, and you'll feel a bigger stretch going into the top of that right thigh, but still keeping the tailbone tucked, still keeping the hip bones along the front up. If you feel comfortable and stable with that, you can bring your hands onto your hips, and then just push through the left foot to bring the left knee back, and then we're going to swap it. So just going to turn around so that you can see again through the other leg. And then on this one, your right foot steps forward, starting off with the right knee directly above the ankle, and then the left knee is directly below the hip joint. So again, check into where we are at our pelvic position. The pelvis, the tailbone at the back, gently tucks between the legs, and then that means the hip bones and the pelvis along the front start to lift forward and slightly up. And then again, you'll feel that increased stretch going into these hip flexor muscles, a little bit into the thigh muscles at the top of that left thigh. And then from here, if you want to go a little bit deeper into the stretch, bend at your right knee. The right ankle starts to bend, and we lean the upper body forward at a slight angle. Hold that position there. Again, feeling that stretch going into the top of the thigh. Take a few deep breaths from here.
hands onto your hips if you can. And then push your way through the right heel to bring the knee and hip back. And then bring that knee back underneath the body. Good. So just get yourself back up so that you're standing onto your mat again. So just like we did to start the session. So have your feet about hip width distance apart. The tailbone stays tucked, hip bones lifted, and then arms resting down by the side of your body. And if you'd like to, just close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths from here. Notice that we've increased the range of movement, we've increased the blood flow, we should be feeling quite nice and grounded and relaxed. Good. And then once you open your eyes, you can shrug your shoulders back just a couple of times, and then you can give yourself a clap if you'd like to as well, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. I will be doing this type of class once a week now, so do it as many times as you like, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye.